So did you ever try to replicate something again on the gel plate? Welcome back, friends. So today we are going to try to do this. I did this a couple of months ago. It's with rubber bands, and this is one particular print that was pulled that I absolutely love and is perfect for this next painting that I'm planning. So today we're only going to be working with 4 colors. We're going to be working with Apple Tart from Craft Smart, which is a Michaels brand. We're going to be working with Golden Fluid Phthalo Blue Green Shade and Titan Buff Green Pale and Titanium White. Let's get started. Okay, so part of the painting, she's wearing a dress. And I came across these prints that I made on my previous rubber band video, and this green just spoke to me. So this is a combination of Apple Tart by Craft Smart and Phthalo Blue Green Shade, and then of course a very thin layer of Titanium White. So I'm going to try to make prints similar to this, but I also need some darker ones. So I'm probably going to flip it and make some with a darker, blue with a little bit of green. So I'm going to do like a positive and a negative. Anyway, we'll see. I'm not exactly sure how this is going to go. We will just play and see what we come up with. But when I did these prints originally, obviously I used a much smaller plate. So I'm going to use my bigger plate. That way I have lots of choices so that when I'm working on this artwork, I'm not wishing that I had done something more, I just love this random pattern and the beautiful color. I'm going to get out my rubber bands and we're going to play a little bit. So here's my rubber band ball. It's very dried up, but for this purpose, it's perfect. So let's get started. So we're going to start with Phthalo Blue Green Shade, and I'm going to cover the entire plate. Try to get a nice even coat. And then I'm just going to randomly lay down my rubber bands. And we're going to pick this up with some deli paper. And I want to get really in there, in between all those little overlaps. And, the deli paper will also be nice for a collage at some other later date. But this is part, we're trying to get an imprint on the plate of the rubber bands. And this is the best way to get that. Plus, it's a great print on its own. Anyway, so I'm going to carefully remove. Oh, I'm noticing like a little spot in between where the overlap of the rubber bands was. So that's what I'm saying. You really got to get in there. I'm carefully removing so I don't disturb the paint on the plate. We're going to let this dry. So while we're waiting for that to dry, I'm trying to think of how I did this. So the dark blue here is what I'm thinking is this stage. Then I put the green on top, this Apple Tart green. Then maybe I picked it up. Then put on a layer of white, laid more rubber bands down, and then printed over that. That's going to be my first try. This doesn't look like a stencil or a mask. Doesn't look like anything I currently have in my stash. But I don't know what this, why it didn't pick up so good. But maybe it was because I was using rice paper to pick up. And I can't get into the little nooks and crannies the way you can with this. So, and that's deli paper. So that's what I'm thinking is what I did. It was quite a few months ago, but that's the plan. That's what we're going to do right now. And it looks like I didn't even wait for it to dry that well, because look, some of it's smeared. So maybe I shouldn't have waited so much for it to dry. Well, that looks like a little bit too much green. This is the apple tart. And this is craft paint, so sometimes it's a little challenging to get like a really smooth coat with it. It doesn't have the same level of pigment that the golden fluid does. So keep that in mind when you're using craft paints. Okay, so I'm going to pick up these 2 layers now with some rice paper. And I'm going to register my paper, so I'm shifting my camera so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to put some tape on the left side of that paper. You'll notice I didn't center the paper. I left a little bit of extra on the left-hand side. And this way I can place the paper down on my next layer in exactly the same place, or close. Okay, so now we have some additional paint left on the plate, so I'm just going to pick that up with some Titan green pale, Titan Buff green pale. I could probably use this for something else, but this is not going to be for the painting that I'm working on. But I don't want to waste that beautiful image that was left on the plate. So I'm using a separate rice paper sheet. And that's a very nice print. Very nice. Okay, so now we're going to put down our titanium white, and I want to get this as thin as I can so it has a transparency to it. Titanium white is more opaque, but if you brayer it out thinly enough, you will be able to see something through it. And again, I'm being very random with my rubber bands. And I'm getting in between my rubber bands. But this is a much simpler shape that I'm going for. And it's not really picking up. Maybe I didn't put enough paint. So we're going to try again. We're going to lay down some more paint in a second. I didn't get the results I wanted, so I keep trying, but I think it's best to just lay down more paint. Again, I'm being very random. And that first layer of white might actually add a little bit more interest. I like it. It's not exactly like what I'm going after, but it's a good first try, and at least I can see that I'm on the right track. As you can see, the white is way too opaque. I will figure this out. So since I have the ghost of the white paint, we're now going to put some dark colors on top of this. I'm going to let it dry a little bit first. I'm going to start with the apple tart. So I noticed I'm missing some footage. So I actually get the footage of this pickup. So I'm not exactly sure what happened, but it still left the paint on the plate. And I think that's what happened, was I got a lousy print. You'll see in a second. So now I have the white paint with some green on top of it, but it's still on the plate. So I'm really not sure what happened. But anyway, so now we're going to put some dark. I'm going to go back to the Phthalo blue, and we're going to try to pick this up with the Phthalo. That must have been my bad print. So I'm just going to go right over it. And of course I wasn't registered either, but it looks like I did a pretty good job of putting it down in exactly the same place. So it's a little messy, and we still have a lot of paint on the plate. So this is not very successful. We need to do better than this. Okay, so I cleaned all that messy paint off the plate. I want to start with a nice, clean plate. A lot of that grunge that you're seeing is on the underside. And I was using a baby wipe. So I'm just going to put down a piece of copy paper and pick up some of that excessive moisture. And now we can keep going. Okay, so I'm going to start with some Phthalo blue. So we're going to try again to get exactly that type of print that I got the last time on the first video that I did. And maybe this time we'll get it. Again, I'm being very random with the rubber bands. And I really like the small ones that are really wound up tight. It gives me some variation in the design. Again, this is deli paper that I'm picking up with. And I'm going for the imprint of the rubber bands. That's a pretty nice imprint. So I was waiting for it to dry, but not too much. If it smears a little bit, I'll get a little bit more of exactly the kind of print that I did last time. And I do see that some of it did smear. So I might be getting something very similar this time. And we're going to pick this up with the rice paper. So once we lift this, we're going to then do another layer again with the white, titanium white. Yeah, we did get those smudges. That's what I was going for. Okay, so now for the titanium white. So I need a thicker layer than I did the very first time, but a thinner layer than the second time when I tried it. So I need something in between. This looks like it might be it. So I was trying to lay it down in almost the exact same place since I wasn't registered. Oh yes, this was what I was looking for. Absolutely. Very, very similar. So on this next one, we're going to start with the ghost of the white. We're going to put some phthalo blue on one side and the apple tart on the other side. So like a 50-50. But I blend a little bit over the green as well. I'm going for a thin coat and blending the colors a little bit. Okay, so let's pick up this first layer with our rice paper. So now it needs another layer on top of that, and I'm going to do the apple tart over this. That will be our negative. I still have some blue on my brayer, so it's mixing in. It's such a beautiful green color. And so I'm going to go right over this. And this one might be good for my midtones, I'm thinking. Because like I said, her dress is going to have dark areas, light areas, and then I need a mid-tone area. So this one might be good for the mid-tone. And so let's just keep going. We're on a roll now. We're getting the hang of this. So I'm looking on the underside to see what kind of thing I'm getting. And I'm using the phthalo blue over this. That should be pretty. So you can see in each case I have two pulls, and this is way too dark, so it's that apple tart isn't really showing up with the phthalo blue. But let's see if we can salvage this in some way. So this was the, again, I didn't clean my brayer. So this was the Titan Buff Green Pale. And mixed with the blue that was on my brayer. I was working so fast I wasn't taking the time to really clean off my brayer. Anyway, I'm going to do a pickup with the lighter color over this dark color now. And that is actually beautiful. I like the subtlety of the apple tart with the phthalo. That was actually very nice. Okay, I think I have at least one more. So I'm kind of taking a peek underneath to see what do I want to do with this now. What do I want to do? So I decided to pick this up with some apple tart. And I'm picking up with my rice paper. It's very bright. Well, let's see what we could do now. We could throw some dark over this. I didn't think the rubber bands showed up enough. So let's see what we could do. Okay, so I decided to pick this up with some deli paper, and I'm going to put the imprint over that really bright green paper. You can never have enough of these deli papers. So that's a nice imprint. We're going to go right over that bright green one. I don't think I registered it quite as nicely as I did some of the others. Looks like it's hanging off on the top. But it's not bad. I like that you see that other pull from before. You know, the overlap is always nice. We've got layers going on. So that's pretty good. So I'm going to pick this up with some Titan Buff, the green shade. And again, I didn't clean my brayer really good, but I like that blend of the colors. I like getting a little bit of that blue in there. Very nice. It's not good for the painting that I'm going to be creating, but it's a nice print. I think I successfully reinvented that paper. It doesn't seem quite as bright, but it's on a different kind of paper. So this is rice paper, the other one was copy paper. And I think that made a difference. But all three of these are
going to be perfect for the painting that I'm working on. So we've got our light tone, our mid-tone, and our dark. It will be perfect. And here are some of the other papers. So this one will be good for some future collage. And this was my first attempt. It's also good, it's just not as good as the other one. But this could definitely be used for something. And this was that one that came out really dark, and then I put the apple tart on top. It's okay, but not for that painting. And here are some of my deli papers. So I'm really happy with this session. I've got my papers for my dress, and I got some bonus papers as well.
So thanks for stopping by today. I think I was successful. I was more than successful because I got the 3 different shades that I need. I need like a highlight, a medium tone, and a dark tone that all work together. And this is going to be for the dress of the woman in the painting. And I'll probably be doing that video next week. So I hope you'll visit me again to watch that video. Don't forget, create, inspire, and share, and I will see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.